radius the truth, but find out and every conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. Today I have my special guest. He's the CEO and founder of Aspect, an email and SMS marketing agency, none other than Mr. Nikita Vakhrushev. Welcome, Mr. Nikita on our quick essay. And can you please introduce more about yourself? What I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my name is Nikita. I run Aspect, which is an email and SMS marketing agency, and we've been doing email and SMS for about 4 years now, full time. And before that, we used to do a whole bunch of other services, but pivoted into email because it just made sense, and we were getting the best results for our clients.
Interesting indeed. So today, Mr. Nikita, let's talk about adding an extra 200K to 400K a year in revenue with email marketing. I love that, Mr. Nikita. So tell us, most people see email as a broadcast channel. How do you shift the mindset to view an email list as a primary predictable revenue engine capable of generating 200K plus?
Yeah, a lot of it comes down to the strategy. So, like you mentioned, it's seen as a broadcast channel of like just sending out maybe like targeted campaigns or maybe sending out a campaign to your whole list, but it's a bit different than that. It's almost like your direct, like it's almost like your direct connection to the customer or potential customer. So if you have the right strategy set up with the automations, your campaign sending schedule, the way that you segment your list, as well as how you capture people onto your list, it can make a serious impact as far as how much revenue you're able to generate from that list.
Interesting indeed. Before achieving this growth, what are the key metrics a business must understand to even know if this goal is feasible?
I think the biggest one is just having a big enough list. So um, it's almost like the same thing as other marketing channels. You have to have enough scale in order for it to work. So you have to have enough contacts in your email system in order to be able to send out messages that generate like 1,000, 2,000, $3,000 per like campaign being sent. So if you have a good enough growth engine on the list growth side, then when you have more people coming in through that system, you're able to make a lot more money per person as they go through the automations, whether it's the welcome, the abandonment, the post purchase, as well as just the normal campaigns that you're sending out. So, not only having a big enough list, ideally above 10,000 to 20,000, but also having enough just traffic coming to your website to capture as email subscribers.
What percentage of this revenue lift comes from acquiring new email subscribers versus monetizing the existing leads more effectively?
I would say it's about 50-50. 50% comes in from new people that you acquire, and then 50% comes in from people that have already either purchased your product, have been receiving your emails already, and now is just the right time for them to buy. But at the end of the day, our main goal is to be always on top of mind for customers. So that way, um, whenever the time does come, right, or like or they have enough money to buy, if it's a big product, we're always there in order to basically like be like, hey, we're here, we're still alive as a brand. You can purchase with us.
How the, let's say, the strategic levers where the money hides. Tell us, Mr. Nikita, in your experience, where do the biggest, most untapped opportunities for revenue growth typically lie? Is it in a welcome series, cart abandonment, or reactivating lapsed customers?
A lot of it comes down to the welcome series. That's a really big driver, especially for someone that's brand new to the brand. and they're just learning what your process is, or learning about the product and how you're different. So the welcome series is the best, is like one of the best. But then you have the abandonment flows. So with those abandonment flows, you have, most people think you just need an abandoned checkout, meaning if someone goes to your website, they try to check out, but they can't, or they get distracted, or something comes up, you send them an email saying, like, hey, you left something in your cart. So that's just only one. We also tackle abandoned cart. So if they add something to cart and don't purchase, there's abandoned browse. So if they looked at a product or looked at some web page, then we follow up with them. And then there's abandoned site. So if anyone visit the website or visits the blog or the FAQ but didn't purchase or didn't add to cart, that's when we email them as well. So we want to, like, those four, abandonment as well as the welcome, I think are the biggest revenue drivers, because not only are the people warm enough and they want to receive some sort of messaging, but they're also closer to the purchasing journey than someone that is cold or needs to be reactivated.
Beyond a simple thanks for subscribing, what does a high converting revenue generating welcome sequence actually look like? And what is realistic contribution for the 200K goal?
I would say out of that 200K, about like 40,000 would come in from the welcome flow, mainly because it is a pretty substantial revenue driver. It brings in about 12 to 15% on average per month for our clients in revenue. So if you divvy that up, you'll get around like $40,000. But the things that make your welcome series different is, number one, you have to kind of indoctrinate any new subscriber into your brand. And a lot of that comes down to educating the person about the brand. So teaching them about what makes you different, having any testimonial and review highlights, talking about how your process is different, whether that's the manufacturing process or where you source your ingredients, that sort of thing. And then any niche relevant content that makes sense. So for us, we have it laid out in a 5 to 6 email flow. So the first email is the initial welcome, like, hey, welcome to the email club. And then the second one goes over like your process, or goes over testimonials. The third one goes over how you're different and what makes you different from the competition. The fourth one covers any other niche relevant content about the brand that's relevant to the customer. The fifth one is likely a follow up sale. So you're following up on all that trust you built up over the last few emails to launch a sale. And then the sixth one is a follow up on that sale, if not a follow up a couple months from now, to do like another flash sale.
What is the most underutilized customer segment that businesses often ignore and which can be gold mine for targeted email revenue?
I'd probably say the people that purchase the most. So people that purchase two, three, four, 5 times. That's typically the VIP segment, and most brands don't really treat VIPs differently. So if you take those VIPs and take those people that constantly purchase, and use them as a, if anything, as a test for new product launches or new offers, those people are going to be the ones that are most receptive to those, because they have a high level of trust within your brand because they've bought from you multiple times. So I think it's a really good segment to use when it comes down to utilizing it for future testing for offers and product launches.
Mr. Nikita, how does a strategic shift from a mass newsletter blast to automated behavioral sequence fundamentally change the revenue potential of an email list?
Well, if you don't have the right fundamental strategy for the automations, then you're not really going to capture any revenue coming in from new subscribers. And if you don't have a good campaign cadence, then you're not going to capture revenue from your existing list. So it's important to have a good balance between the two. If you have a good automation setup, great. Any new person coming in, they're more likely to purchase because of the communication that you're sending over to them. But if you also have a good campaign cadence, so like if you're sending out one email a week or 2 to 3 emails a week, then not only are you capturing revenue from the new people that are coming in, but you're also consistently capturing revenue from people that have already been on the list by constantly sending out messaging. So both of them are just as important as the other. Plus, when you're sending out consistent campaigns, your deliverability is more likely to be a lot higher rather than sending out a campaign like once every couple of months randomly, because your list does um, fatigue over time. So if you're not constantly sending out messaging, people will forget about your brand. And then eventually it's like, why am I even subscribed to this business? I haven't bought from them in years. And they unsubscribe, and then you lose them off your list.
Mr. Nikita, how much of this revenue growth is dependent on creating new irresistible offers specifically for the email list versus just prefer or just better promotion of existing products?
I don't think off like our main goal is to actually utilize less discounts because it hurts margin. So I don't think a lot of it comes down to the actual offer side, but more so understanding the pain points and the desires of the customer that they're serving. Once you have a better understanding of those pain points, then you're better able to sell your existing product and sell the existing product that solves the problem better, at a much higher frequency rather than just constantly pushing discounts and sales and whatnot. So a lot of it comes down to just understanding your customer better and knowing how to translate those understandings, those pain points, those desires into copy that converts those people through email.
The mechanics and execution. What is one specific, often overlooked technical setup or integration that can have an outsized impact on tracking and driving revenue?
I don't think this is more of a tactic and like a standard procedure that we do internally. But I see this being mishandled all the time whenever I'm auditing email accounts. And it all comes down to having a very, very good above the fold section. So a lot of clients that we audit, or a lot of potential clients that we audit, their above the fold section is just garbage. Like it just has a big image, and then there's a button all the way down at the email, and there's a big long paragraph of text, and that just doesn't work in today's age. You need to spoon feed information for the customer to understand what's going on. And the best way to do that is to include all of the important information above the fold. So having your header, having your buttons, your discount codes, your timers, all of that important stuff needs to be the first thing that a person sees. And for us, whenever we make that initial switch, it makes such a massive difference in revenue, that it's almost a standard going forward for every single email that we design. Is everything important is above the fold, and everything else can be below the fold.
Mr. Nikita, how does your process for crafting subject lines that get open and drive revenue look like? Is there a specific psychological trigger that consistently works?
I mean, the best psychological trigger is just saying your name. So, if I was like Daniel, 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 you would pay attention very quickly, especially if like I called you out in the middle of the street and like we're walking in a busy intersection, like you'd turn your head. So, having that kind of information in your subject line, so personalizing with a first name makes a big difference in open rates, because when people see their first name, it's like, oh, talking to me, and then they want to see exactly what is going on within that email. And then when we have them on that email, we capture them and convert them into a buyer, ideally.
A buyer indeed. And beyond features and benefits, what is the core element of email copy that compels a high value customer to click buy instead of just read?
It kind of goes back to what I talked about earlier, where we're oh, my camera is glitching out. Um, it goes back to what we talked about earlier with having the right amount of information within that email that tackles the pain points that they're going through. So, if you're experiencing acne, um, then if I call you out like, "Hey, are you having problems with acne?" Like, you're more likely to listen. So having similar call outs within your email copy that go through the desires that they want. So whether it's, having a six pack or eating healthy or spending more time with your kids, or making more money from your job, like whatever those desires are, it's important to have those within your copy because that is essentially what will convert in the end.
Okay, Mr. Nikita, as a founder of Aspect, an email and SMS marketing agency, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
Sorry
Okay,
about that. It said that my
Mr.
recording stopped.
Yes, thank you for coming back. So, Mr. Nikita, my question is, as a founder and CEO, what are your short-term and long-term goals? Can you hear me, Mr. Nikita? Hello, test mic.
Short term
Hello.
goal another employee.
Yes, go
So
ahead.
having someone handle more design work on the client side. And long term goal, I'd say within the next 5 to 10 years, I'd want to retire and ideally live off the money that I made in business. Maybe work on some passion projects or maybe travel around to America, no bad.
Mr. Nikita, looking forward for more success and good luck to your goals. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you?
I would say focus on sales. That is probably the best thing that comes to mind because at the end of the day, like your business is nothing without your customers. You could say that you're running a business all day long, and if you don't have customers, then you don't really have a business. So it's very important to constantly focus on sales and constantly focus on generating revenue for the business because that is the lifeblood of your business.
And thank you for that advice, Mr. Nikita. So tell us, scaling and the optimization. Is the jump from 200K to 400K more about list growth, increasing customer lifetime value, or something else entirely?
It honestly comes down to just having the right system set up because for us, the typical client just doesn't have the right strategy running. So it's honestly everything. It's customer lifetime value, it's better design, better segmentation, list hygiene, better list growth. All of that combined is what brings in the extra revenue because when a client comes on board, they usually have 20K a month coming in from email, but they could be bringing in 50K a month in email, which is an extra $300,000, 360 per year. So that's where those gains come in because we get to that gap from 20 to 50K per month in email. And that again comes with the right flow strategy, the right campaign cadence, the right designs, the right copy, the right list segmentation, and the right list capture.
Interesting, Mr. Nikita. What is the single most important email metric you monitor that serve as a leading indicator for revenue and growth or decline?
I mean, it's just an easy one. It's revenue per emails. So, like the amount of revenue that we get per email sent, that is what we look at as the North Star metric. And then from that point, we go deeper into like cost per click or not cost per click, but click through rate, and then open rate, and then all the other ancillary metrics. But revenue is the most important one.
Can you walk us through a specific non identifiable example of a business you work with? What was their starting point and the key lever you pulled and resulting revenue impact?
There's an outdoor brand that's really big here in the US that we worked with really closely, and we revived their entire automation system. It's like a multi-million dollar business. If anything, they're like an eight-figure business, so making like 10 to 20 million a year. They were doing great on the campaign side. So every time they sent out a campaign, they would get money from those campaigns, but their automations were broken, outdated, and just they couldn't figure out, they couldn't crack that. So working with their team for, I believe, about 6 to 8 months is how long it took the project. At the beginning, their overall revenue was about, I think, around like $90,000 per from email coming in, and then by the end of it, it was around $350,000. So we added an extra $240,000 per month, an extra $2 million a year to the business through the help of email marketing.
What is the most common operational or strategic bottleneck that prevents a business from hitting these 200K to 400K revenue mark?
Honestly, the biggest bottlenecks is just the management. The management, too many people trying to approve things, too many people needing sign off, too many hands touching a project is usually where the decline comes in, and that's where we're not getting those bigger gains. Is because too many people want control over this thing, and once we have too many people controlling the email or the SMS part of the business, that's when we start to see a decline because that's when we lose control as a company of doing the things that we know is correct, but someone else wants to handle it, and we just get into a whole politics war at that point, and it's not really fun, working on that client anymore because there's too many politics to deal with.
Mr. Nikita, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please to listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 fourth season, and my baby podcast. Law 101 and Mental Health 101, Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 Review, Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Nikita, if it's a business is starting from near zero email revenue, what is the very first most high impact project they should tackle to generate their first 10K?
Probably getting more subscribers set up. So like having more people subscribe to their list and pushing more people onto the email list. That's where you're starting to see, the more people you have on your list, the more you can monetize your list. So that is probably the best part, or like the best starting point that you can have for a starting business.
Indeed, Mr. Nikita Vakhrushev. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your advocacy, or whatever project that you're doing right now?
Well, what was that?
Will you please invite our listeners to support your business itself?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can reach out to me on YouTube. So I have my own YouTube channel. It's just my name, Nikita Vakhrushev. Um, we also have aspectagency.com. That's the best way to reach out to us, ASPEKT agency.com. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yes, people, less about Mr. Nikita Vakhrushev because if you support him for sure, more and more empowering business will arise. So, Mr. Nikita, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
More to come, people. See you soon.